Alright, so as you can see, things have definitely made some progress recently. It's about 2 weeks since the last video, and I did a few tests in between there. I posted one of them, the Viper Fun video. So, and even since I did that, that taught me a few extra lessons. I had to turn a couple lights off at the top there, and then I was struck with the idea of putting the lamps on the bottom of the floor to get a nice even green tone coming across the middle. So that hot spot there at the base of the table, that's not too bad, because even if your subject moves around to a lot of extremes, can even go all the way over to here at this point, as long as your subject doesn't cross over a green screen line, such as onto the wall and the guitar there, you're all set. So if it were to pass across the white, that's no good. If it passes into the ceiling there, like that, that's extra problems. It can be fixed, but it's not good to. So that's no good there either. But this does give me a rather good range to shoot a subject with. So I'm pretty happy about that. Another thing I did was put this Lazy Susan on the base here, so I can move the camera around and do a spin to get some more radical moves. I upped the density of the tracking markers by about 1/3. Instead of squares before, we're now working with diamond patterns. So yeah, that's going to work just as well pretty much. I'm hoping I can avoid putting them down on this extra layer that I threw down a few minutes ago. Clearly if I was shooting like this, I would have had blank wall right there now across most of the body. So I had to put that down, and the length of that was dictated by the plug there. So I could put another layer down. However, I don't see myself generally getting that close, and if I do, I can always shift this up further and into various areas so that it's not across any white down there. So let's turn the lights off and see where all this is at. I'll show you a couple examples of how this can go. It's just starting to get dawn, so the sun is starting to come up. If you're going to do this, you definitely want to control your light, so doing it at night is best because you won't have to worry about the wall, or about the wall of light coming through there. So generally speaking, this may be the kind of light intensity that you want on your subject, and as you had seen before, there's a lot of bounce off the wall. There's just no way around that for the size of the space I've got to work with. But you could definitely key off of this. However, as you get different varying tones on the green screen, that makes things a little more improbable. And if you don't want to get any bounce off the ground onto the ship, or any green bounce or spill, get yourself a white piece of paper, and then you'll find that just moving this around can alter your light levels and angles on the subject. Having some whiteboard, or foam core rather, that you could prop up into various angles would be better. But a regular piece of white paper for that. So you can see the green isn't quite enough to cover this table. It's good enough at this point. I'm going to put a sheet of green over this right there. Maybe I'll worry about back here, because if it's hanging over, then it's just a pain to deal with. So I've got some tracking markers down on here to help out. I got to put a couple on the base itself so that that's in alignment with the actual subject matter. Let's turn a couple lights on. So actually, the one other reason why this may look good right here, that to be able to key off, you're always going to be moving your light around for different sources. And that's always going to alter your background, which makes things bad. And if you're dealing with a shadow of your own object, forget it. That's just an unnecessary pain. The more you can do up front to minimize your tasks later, you want to do that. So I was able to shut off the middle two there. And even just putting one light on the wall will make things better to a degree. So there we are without any subject light. And you can always try and get away with something like this as well. Let's turn a couple others on, but not all of them. So there we've just got the corner light on. And the wall itself is not too bad. You're not going to get any shadow anywhere. If you do any extreme moves, you got a little bit of a dark spot over there, but that's not too bad. It's keeping in line with the rest of the middle. However, that is a lot of shadow down there. So it looks like I need two. One for the corner here, one for the middle. So you can see over here is nicely lit. And over there, so we definitely need that third one just under the center here. Those are a bit strong. I may move them to this back rail instead of being up front. I've also taken this bar and C-clamped it on, so I've got a maneuverable subject light. So you're still going to get some shadow just because the light source is so close. Or, looks like further away makes it bad. Way to cancel that. Oof. So, that's not totally stable yet. However, what we can do is throw 2 more 100 watts on. I haven't tried this yet. I think the middle two are unnecessary. But they don't hurt. That is pretty consistent overall, top to almost bottom. The only other modifications are to get some black foam core and put it right behind, or even black poster board, and put it right at that light rail so that it kills a lot of the bounce, because that's where most of this room light is coming from. So there's 400 watts up there, and you can see there's a dark spot here, so let's throw that one on. So now you're dealing with 500 watts on the ceiling and 300 watts on the floor, plus up to 1 or 2 subject lights. For subject lights, there's 3 basic kinds of lights overall, categories. You've got your key light, your fill light, your background light. Right now, here we've got the background light. Key light would be this one here, where it's your primary key, most important light to have on the subject. That's where your main source will be coming from. You then want a fill light, which would go somewhere off to the opposite side in the 90 to 100 degree angle of your key light. The rim light, fill light, puts a little bit of an edge along any subject, which helps you key it, and makes it look a little more natural, because usually objects have bounce light coming from all around. In space, however, that's not the case. The dark side of any object is just pitch black, because there is no surface to bounce across, bounce the light back, unless you're in orbit or something and you're very close to something that's giving off a lot of light anyway. So that's about it for this point. I don't think there'll be any need to put any more green on the bottom. Like I say, putting the black up top there will be good. I'm going to be doing some more tests. I'm going to shoot a bunch of Battlestar stuff over the next day or two, and I'll work out my subject lights and we'll go from there. One last thing I'll show you.